So how do you find like keto or fasting fits with sleep? Because isn't there this interaction of, like glucose, like these kind of 2 a.m. glucose spikes that shoot off cortisol, like the liver shooting out a little glucose or whatever, spiking cortisol in the middle of the night, simply due to, inadequate calories, like later in the night. I know some people, like they have to have like a teaspoon of honey or something before they go to bed, just so they can avoid that sort of thing. Like, have you seen that yourself? And like, what do you think of that whole phenomenon?
Yeah, I have seen that in the beginning when somebody's transitioning from being a sugar burner to a fat burner. So maybe like the first 14, 21 days of doing keto, you might have some sleep disturbances because your body's still making that switch. And like you just said, Eric, you might have a reduction of glucose in the brain in the middle of the night. Cortisol will shoot up and you'll wake up. So having a little bit of some honey could help. Of course, you don't want to do that long term, but maybe 1 teaspoon of raw honey before bed. Something else that could help is MCT oil, specifically C8 caprylic acid right before bed to give that brain a ketone source. Maybe exogenous ketones could help. I'm not really big on exogenous ketones, maybe for specific reasons, but I don't like to rely on them. But once you get really familiar with ketosis, after a few weeks, your sleep will improve. So I see an improvement overall, but in the beginning, as you make that transition, you might have to put these little things in place so your brain could adapt to it. But once you become metabolically flexible, now your brain will use ketones and you won't have that problem.
Interesting. Yeah. That's actually a really good point, and probably a really good source to go with is like a little bit of MCT oil before bed, a fat source, a clean source, not going to spike your insulin or anything like that.
Correct.
And keeps you, keeps what you need to keep satiated.
And you know what else? You also want to avoid eating before bed. No, we're not talking about the honey or the MCT oil. That's fine. But eating too close to bed, something that happens is melatonin, which is your important sleep hormone, antioxidant. It's important for the immune system. Every cell actually makes melatonin in the body, which is interesting. Melatonin shuts down the receptors in the pancreas that actually produces insulin. Here's why this is important. Because when you eat before bed, keto or not, but let's say it's not keto, you're going to get a high glucose spike. And then you go to bed. You're going to fall asleep, right? But now you're asleep. Melatonin is being produced by your body. At the same time, you have glucose up. But now since melatonin is being produced because you're asleep, it'll decrease insulin from being produced by the pancreas. So the glucose will shoot up even more. And then all of a sudden, boom, it drops down. You wake up at 2 a.m. and you're wired and tired. So that's one of many reasons why you don't want to eat before bed, especially a high carb meal.